Hey everyone, Mr. Sujano here, your source for gaming, tech, emulation, and open source news. Let's get started. Alright, to kick things off, we're quickly talking about Fatal Fury City of the Wolves. Now, we've talked about this game a bunch. We talked about it during its initial announcement, we've talked about it throughout development, and we've talked about it throughout its recent controversies. When Cristiano Ronaldo was introduced to the cast as well as the DJ. I was initially very excited about this game, and then I was a little bit off-put with the introduction of real-life characters that didn't really seem to fit the genre. And then taking a look as well, the price was also a little bit off-putting. It's $82.51 here in Canada. That does include the Season 1 DLC, but that's not a small price to pay. Now, as you may or may not know, if you've been a subscriber on this channel for a while, you probably already know that I'm a massive fighting game fan. It's one of the very few genres that I'll buy a game at full price really close to launch. I won't pre-order it, but I will buy it close to launch. I mean, I've been to EVO. You can see my EVO shirt here. I've competed in a bunch of different tournaments. I've been to a bunch of different tournaments. I'm not necessarily a top tier player that's going to get ranked in professional circuits, but at the same time, I really enjoy fighting games. And City of the Wolves was right at the top of my list. And here's one of the comments on my previous videos. So RH80 says, Fatal Fury is that good. Have a lot of content. Gameplay is really fun. Comic, anime, artistic style. If you can ignore the real life characters like me, you will be good. That line really stuck out because in a bunch of fighting games, there's characters that I absolutely hate. There's some characters that I hate playing against and playing, and I generally just ignore them. And so I guess I can kind of do that here with City of the Wolves. Plus this line here also works great on Steam Deck. I run at 60 frames per second with most settings in high. Now, I watched a lot of gameplay on this game. I watched a lot of Twitch streams. I listened to a lot of opinions and reviews on it. I watched a lot of reviews. This was one of the reviews that helped convince me to buy the game, I'll be honest with you. It's Happy Console Gamer. He gives it a 10 out of 10, and I would say based on his review here, it was thorough enough to really help out. SDHQ also has a review up. It's fairly thorough. I agree with a lot of it. Not all of it, though. For example, here, their visuals, they give it a 2-star. I would have given it a 5-star. I love the visuals in this game. And I also don't agree with their Steam Deck settings here. You can play with these probably to get much better settings than this. You could even turn down the resolution scale, or the rendering scale rather, to like 90% and then crank up some of these things. Anyways here, that being said, I guess this is a little bit longer than short. I bought the game. I bought the game. I played it a lot last night, into the night, and I didn't get a whole lot of sleep, but I really enjoy it. I think this is an absolutely fantastic fighting game, and it plays very well on the Steam Deck. Now, I wouldn't say it's perfect. I mean, I've had a couple of issues booting into the game where the resolution was changed to something that I didn't previously set it to, and then I had to go and reset it, although it did save all of my other graphical settings. But either way here, there are some bugs, I would say, on the Steam Deck with it, but it still plays pretty darn well. Let me know your thoughts about Fatal Fury City of the Wolves in the comments below if you've bought it and if you're playing it or if you're on the fence about the game in general. And speaking about fighting games, next up we're talking about Street Fighter IV CE Netflix. CE stands for Subscribe to Mr. Sujano, and so does Netflix. Or CE stands for Champion Edition, depending on how you wanted to interpret that. Anyways, here, this game has returned to Android of sorts under the guise of Netflix. So if you've got a Netflix subscription here, you can pick up this game. It's also on iOS. Now, if this game looks familiar to you, it's because it's been out for a long while on mobile. This is not new. However, it's new to Netflix. And I will say here, it's definitely not worth picking up Netflix just to get this game on mobile. And I would say it's maybe not even worth playing this game. I don't want to say this game is bad, but I would say it's not optimal on mobile. I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of this version of the game. I'm a huge fan of Ultra Street Fighter 4, but this one on mobile leaves a little bit to be desired, at least in my opinion here. And I would say if you're looking to play a fighting game on mobile, it's probably worthwhile to invest in just a controller that pairs to your mobile device. It'll be a much better experience. And speaking about pairing stuff to devices, next up here, we're talking about Xbox. And if you've got an LG Smart TV, well, a specific model line of it, you might be excited about this because Xbox just announced that the Xbox app for cloud gaming is now available on LG Smart TVs. So they say right here, starting today, the Xbox app is available on select LG Smart TV models, making it easier than ever for Xbox Game Pass Ultimate members. So you need Game Pass Ultimate in over 25 countries to play games directly from their TVs. This rollout includes 2022 OLED TVs, select 2023 LG Smart TVs and newer models, along with smart models running WebOS 24 or later. Now, I know cloud gaming really isn't that optimal for a lot of different games out there, but at the same time here, I'm of the mindset where more options is a good thing. And I would say this is a very good thing for gaming out there. It'll make gaming a lot more accessible for a lot more people. No one here is forced to cloud game if they don't want to, but if someone just wants to or doesn't have access to a console or anything, this might be a really good option provided they have a compatible TV. Now, like everything we talk about, if you wanted to learn more about it, links are in the description below right at the bottom. I don't hide my sources. And if you are interested, I would recommend checking out this article to see the compatible TV list. But moving on, and next up here, we're switching from cloud gaming to consoles and talking about the Nintendo Switch 2. And I don't know what it is here. It just seems that the Nintendo Switch 2 cannot avoid negative press. I mean, some people might see this as positive press, but I would see it as negative press. Anyways, here the headline says Switch 2 demand in Japan has greatly exceeded what Nintendo was prepared for. Why wasn't Nintendo prepared for a lot of interest in their upcoming console given the fact that the Switch was extremely popular? I've seen a lot of comments and opinions online both from casual gaming fans and die-hard Nintendo fans who are upset about this information, where supply seems to not be able to meet demand. And this will create shortages, this will create FOMO, and this will also create probably a lot of scalping problems. So in my opinion here, whether it's a misjudgment by Nintendo, a very gross misjudgment on how popular the Switch 2 is going to be, or some sort of marketing ploy to increase demand, if you are looking for a Nintendo Switch 2 to pre-order, it seems that pre-orders are going to be pretty tough to get. And I think there's going to be a high demand for Switch 2 upon its launch, like most consoles anyway. But at the same time here, patience may pay off if you don't want to have to pay higher than MSRP prices in order to get one. You may just want to wait until these things are stocked in store and be good to go. I mean, we've heard from Nintendo that Switch 2 games may be backward compatible, or they'll just be a regular Switch version with an enhanced version for the Switch 2. And if that is the case, you can probably hold on to your existing Switch for a while if you've got one, and still enjoy games for a while the Switch 2 builds its library, and maybe gets a library that you're more interested in playing as opposed to the scarcity of games at launch. However, it is worth pointing out here, and I would say this is a big piece of the news overall. It's being reported over on Bloomberg that analysts expect the Switch 2 to launch with 6 to 8 million consoles available on June 5th worldwide, which would make it the biggest console launch in video game history. So that may give some merit, some credit to Nintendo's overall statement on how they misjudged how popular the Switch 2 would be. Now, maybe saying scarcity of games at launch is not the right expression. I mean, there's going to be games available. There's going to be a lot of digital games available, and we'll talk about that in just a second. Maybe variety of games is the right expression to use here. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts about all of this in the comments below. It just seems that there's really not a huge library for Switch 2 exclusive stuff right at launch, which is completely normal for a lot of consoles out there. So if you can wait, if you're really interested in a Switch 2, my advice here would be to wait if you can't get your hands on one and not encourage scalping. And speaking about digital games, next up we're still talking about the Nintendo Switch 2 and arguably still talking about bad press. And this is right on Video Games Chronicle. Every physical third-party Switch 2 game seen in Japan so far is a game key card requiring a download. The full game is not included on the cartridge. So here's the tweet and the source of the information. Switch 2 game pre-orders have been up in Japan for a few hours, revealing all physical third-party games so far except Cyberpunk 2077 that are not Nintendo Switch 2 editions to be shipping on game key cards, requiring internet to download the full game. And VGC says they've checked out the Japanese online store Yodobashi, I think I pronounced that right, and can confirm that of the 11 new third-party Switch 2 games currently listed on the site with box art, all 11 of them have a logo on the front of the box, designating them as game key cards. That to me is super disappointing, especially for the game in the bottom right that I was most excited about for the Switch 2, and that's the Street Fighter 6 game. I mean, I've already got it on PC, but at the same time here, the Switch 2 game to me looked very interesting. It's just, digital seems to be the way of the future. And speaking about games, and arguably digital games, next up here we're talking about the Elder Scrolls Oblivion Remastered. Now, ever since launch, which was just the other day, this game has been incredibly popular online. It's been very well received. And a lot of people seem to be really liking the fact that a lot of the charm of the original game has been left intact. For example, the voice line here that has a big blooper in it, they've kept it. Now, for those who may not be aware, for the original voice acting for this game, it has been reported, and if I'm wrong about this, let me know in the comments below. But it has been reported that the voice actors were just handed the lines in alphabetical order without any real rhyme or reason, and they just kind of read through them one by one by one. Now, when you do voice acting, sometimes you mess up a line. Maybe sometimes you say it in a way that you didn't really intend and wanted to redo it. And that's what happened here. The whole thing was captured, though. So the voice actor read the line, and then they said, let me do that one again. And then they reread the line again. And it turns out that the whole line was captured in game. And, well, a lot of gamers view that line as charming. It's a very unique experience overall. And the Elder Scrolls Oblivion Remastered has the exact same line, so the Bethesda team probably knowingly kept that in the game. On a side note here, for those wondering about the Elder Scrolls Oblivion Remastered on the Steam Deck, it is playable, but some people have reported mixed experiences with it. It is Steam Deck verified, which is a good thing, but at the same time here, it seems that you have to turn frame generation off and have the game run at around 30 frames per second for an optimal experience. Some people have reported screen jittering. Some people have reported some stuttering in the game and just not necessarily the best of experiences. If you are curious about this one, I do recommend checking out ETA Prime's video here where he goes over a whole bunch of different settings. And you can see the bit of ghosting and stuttering while he's playing the game with different settings. I would say there's probably a way to get this where you're comfortable with it on the Steam Deck. I haven't checked this one out on the Steam Deck yet. But at the same time here, you may have to tweak settings to get things just right for you. And I'm assuming things will improve in time. Next up, we're talking about the Nintendo Switch 2 again. And this to me is interesting for a reason you might not expect, or maybe you do here, I don't know. Anyways, it appears that a Nintendo Switch 2 has been stolen and it's made its way out into the public before the official launch of the console. This does not appear to have the customer UI on it, the customer software. This appears to have some sort of testing software on it. And the big question I have, the big reason that I'm interested in this is why? So I don't know here. I mean, from my understanding, the factory edition doesn't even play games. So what's the purpose of having one or showcasing it? We've already seen the Switch 2. People have already had their hands-on experiences with the Switch 2 with the official software, playing official games. So what is the point of some sort of factory testing unit? Anyways, here, this person says, never thought we would get another leak at this point in time. I'm with you. And this person here, I love this comment. I'm starting to believe the magnetic Joy-Con rumor. On the other hand, though, I had to cut it because I was laughing and couldn't speak. On the other hand, though, there may be something detrimental to Nintendo on this. Maybe there's some unlocked source code. Maybe there's something available that could be harmful to Nintendo trying to protect their operating system and all of that. And if that was the case, that could be pretty bad. And I can see Nintendo, well, first and foremost, being upset that something was stolen from them. But also if there is something on there that could contribute to something like piracy. I mean, if there is something unrestricted on there, some information that Nintendo didn't want to get out to the public, that could be pretty bad for Nintendo. We'll have to wait and see on this one and Nintendo's response, or maybe we just won't hear anything from it or that person again. Who knows? But I would say here overall, it's just, it's a very weird thing to leak for a console that we've already seen. It doesn't make any sense to me. Next up here, if you're patient, you might be excited about this one. If you're a fan of Frostpunk, you're really going to be excited about this one. Frostpunk 1886 has just been announced and will be arriving on PC in 2027. The developers behind this one says it will include mod support. It's being built in Unreal Engine 5. Unfortunately, that's really all I've got about this game at this point in time. You can wishlist it over on Steam, but there is no price, and there's not really a whole lot of gameplay or anything like that. I mean, it's set to release in 2 years. So I'm assuming we'll know more as this game is developed and gets further to completion. Moving on, and we're talking about Nintendo Switch emulation with Ryubing. And Ryubing has a brand new update, version 1.3.1. So with this latest update, they say here significant changes include ARM Windows support and FFmpeg update. virtual Joy-Con support, and a turbo mode. Now, I don't know here. I'm assuming that maybe some people may be curious about turbo mode. I mean, I kind of wish the original Switch had a turbo mode. Anyways, here they're saying that FPS locked games can benefit from this, and that it can be selected with a toggle or a hotkey being pressed. And on top of all of that, they're saying that Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition can now boot without requiring Ignore Missing Services. There seem to be even more fixes and changes here and tweaks, and they say you can now use a Joy-Con pair with Ryubing. So I'm assuming they mean Ryubing, but I don't know here. It just seems that the name is being used interchangeably. Next up, we're talking about the best-selling games of 2025 so far. And if you're interested in the list, Matt Piscatella's got you covered. No surprise here, Monster Hunter Wilds is number 1. In second place, we've got Assassin's Creed Shadows. And in third place, we've got Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Let me know your thoughts about this one in the comments below. In 11th place, we've got Grand Theft Auto 5. Maybe no surprise here, but maybe a surprise. A lot of people are still buying this game. And Minecraft, which I'm not surprised about at all because of the Minecraft movie. And just because Minecraft in general is popular. But I'm surprised after games being out for as long as they are that new people are buying the game. Or maybe there's existing people who are just buying the game on a different platform. I don't know here. It's a little bit confusing to me, but makes sense given the fact that these games are popular. But at the same time, you think they would be saturated in the market by now. I guess not. And speaking about games, next up here, we're talking about an indie game that has not released yet. This one is set to release on May 23rd on Steam. It is called Haneda Girl. I might have mispronounced that one. Anyways, I'm getting serious cave story vibes from this one, and maybe Katana Zero and some others. Anyways, to me it looks really interesting, and there is a demo available if you are curious about it. It is up on Steam here. Unfortunately, I don't know the price about this one, but if you're interested, let me know your thoughts about it in the comments below. And last up here, we're talking about Discord, and this news is, it's been met with mixed reactions. So it's being reported that Discord co-founder and CEO Jason Citron, like the Citron emulator, no relation there anyway, is stepping down. And, well, the replacement is what's generating the controversy. Now, this is not speculation. This is not a rumor. This is official. There's an official announcement right from Discord. And it seems that Jason Citron has effectively hired himself out of a job, literally, and did that intentionally. The replacement CEO here, and this is what's generating controversy, is the former Activision Blizzard and King executive. I might mispronounce this one, Hamam Seknini. We're going to have to wait and see as to whether or not Discord is fundamentally going to change under the direction of the new CEO, whether it's for the better or for worse. A lot of people are assuming it's going to be for the worse here. I mean, even just based on the comments alone from this article, you can kind of get that sense. I mean, look at this one here. It's got 22 likes. Further enshittification coming. Now, I'm not going to lie here. I've seen this word float around quite a bit about this on the internet. We're going to have to wait and see as to what's going to happen with Discord's future, whether it gets better or worse. Let me know your thoughts about the situation in the comments below. But anyways, that is all I've got for you in this one. Straight to the point, all stuff and no fluff. The legendary One Fluff is upstairs right now cuddling with Mrs. Sujano, and I'm not about to break them apart just to bring her on camera. She makes it on camera when she's down here wanting to film with me. Anyways, we talked about a bunch today. Feel free to discuss anything we talked about in the comments below. And I really mean that. I love reading through the comments. I do respond to as many as I can. And I learn quite a bit from the comments. I mean, I think we even had a lawyer comment on a previous video about an entire situation. Super interesting. A lot of people have some very good perspectives, bring a lot of knowledge to the table, and it's really beneficial, I think, overall. If you like this video, leave a like. If you didn't like this video, leave a like. Hit that subscribe button. Check out my other videos. Don't tempt fate. Save your state.